Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So I realized that I haven't uploaded in a while and I'm sorry. School has been very difficult, but I'm going to try to get back on track, but no promises I'm going to have a video every week, honestly, because I'm very busy. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about the CSUN interpreting program and the application and screening process for that. Most or all of this information is already in my various ASL vlogs all over last year, but it's pretty scattered throughout because I was talking about as I was going through the process in real time. And so I wanted to make one video, just kind of bring it all together into one video. So this is specifically information about the CSUN, Cal State Northridge Interpreter Education Program that they have there. This is a 2-year program. It's a 4-year degree though. You're going to do at least 2 years before, and then you'll get into the program, do your 2 years there. You will end with a bachelor's degree in deaf studies with a concentration in ASL English interpretation. This is one of the only 4-year programs for ASL interpreting. There's a lot of 2-year programs like in community colleges for an associate's degree. But if you want a bachelor's degree, this is the one to go to if you're on basically the entire west side of the United States. So the process for this is pretty long, and you need to know ahead of time how it works, or else you're going to get delayed by a year, which is kind of what happened to me, but it was also a good thing. So basically, what you need to know beforehand is if you are a transfer student, you're either going to apply the January before you transfer, like start the application process before you transfer, if you're planning on getting to the program your first fall there, or you can do a year there and then apply during that year and then go in. But if you're transferring as a junior, it will add a 5th year for you, which a lot of people do that, just because it's really difficult to get into it as a sophomore. When you're a sophomore applying, we do have one person in the program this year who is a sophomore. She applied her freshman year and got in, but that is extremely rare. She's very talented and she took a lot of classes in high school that got her up to the point where she didn't actually have to take as many lower division classes in college. But for most people, you're going to be applying either as a sophomore or a junior. Most people it's a junior. So what are they looking for? Things that you should work on. Fluency. Everyone I talked to told me work on your fluency. However, I feel like there was a bit too much of an emphasis on that, because once you're in the program, the people who aren't like completely fluent get put into an ASL development class, which I'm in, and we're learning a lot about. It's basically like you take ASL 1 through 4 and then ASL 5. It's like ASL 6. It's just a continuation of working on your skills and practicing. So fluency isn't like 100%, like you don't have to be perfect, but it should be pretty good, and it should show a potential to learn and give them enough of a basis to build on. The next thing is classes. So you're required to take ASL 1 through 4, and I think some of your other lower division classes, I think Introduction to Deaf Studies is required, but I'm not totally sure. Basically, it's best to finish all of your lower division before applying. And then there's other classes that will help your odds but aren't necessarily required. So that would be conversation class, which is also ASL 5, English ASL translation, and principles of interpreting. Those 3 are all upper division classes that they like to see but are not required. However, if you don't take them before getting into the program, I believe you have to take all of them the first semester in the program. I know that's true with English ASL translation because that's the one that I didn't take before. And then there's also a series of 1-unit classes that they offer that are on specific things like fingerspelling, number systems, classifiers, things like that. They can help a lot with your fluency, and it also looks good on the application. They're very, very short classes, not very demanding, and they are also upper division. And they can help you if you need like 1 or 2 more units in the semester to be full-time, or if you just want to work on those skills. The third thing is involvement in the deaf community is huge. They will ask you about your involvement in the deaf community, and you should have quite a bit to say, because honestly at this point the only way that you're fluent enough to be into the program is if you have had considerable involvement in the deaf community. If you're just starting out in ASL right now, I understand it's really difficult now. I haven't been to a deaf event in like 7 months since quarantine started, which is not great, but there's not a lot of options right now. There are like Zoom things that you can do, like conferences and stuff, and if you're in another state, I'm in California, which is where the college is. If you're in another state that's more opened up now, then you may have more opportunities. But if you're in California like me, it's not, your prospects are not great for this. But if you're just now starting out in ASL, don't sweat it. You have time. And hopefully soon things will open up and we'll be able to do that stuff again. But yeah, but you really, if you want to be fluent in ASL, you really have to get involved in the deaf community and learn about deaf culture and everything. That's the best way to learn. Alright, so you have practiced, you've prepared, you've taken the right classes, you know what you're doing. So now it's time, now the first screening is starting. So in either January or February, somewhere around there, the Deaf Studies department will send out an email to everybody in Deaf Studies, regardless of whether or not they've shown interest in the program or if they even are qualified to apply for the program. So this email will have all of the instructions for like how to apply, basically, and it will also have the application attached to it. So the first thing that you want to do is, which you'll explain in the email, is email back to them. I don't think you would necessarily reply directly to that email. I think it's its own email, and they will have like instructions for what to put in the email and what to put subject line and everything, and basically just let them know that you plan to apply. That way they'll have you on a list or something and they'll be watching for your application. The next thing you should do is start filling out the application. It's pretty simple. It asks stuff like name, birth date, stuff like that. And then it's going to ask for all of your classes, all of the ASL classes you've taken. So if you're just starting out now and you plan on applying here, then I would suggest keeping a record of every ASL class you take. They're going to want the title of the class, possibly like the number code thing. I don't remember, honestly. I think they do though. The name of the teacher and the grade you got in the class and what college it was taken at. And so you'll put that for every single class that you've taken for ASL. Then the next thing is the waiver form. It's a legal thing. You sign the waiver. You may have to print it out, sign it, scan it back, or you can, if you have like a touch screen, you can sign on there. And then you're going to write an essay. So the instructions for the essay will either be in the email or the application. I don't remember which one. But basically it's a 1 to 3 page essay, double spaced, about your experiences in the deaf community. So this is where you want to put everything that you've done, like events that you've attended, volunteer things that you've done in the deaf community, any deaf friends, deaf family member, any involvement you've had with deaf people you want to talk about in this essay. I definitely recommend going the full 3 pages. Looks a lot better. And this essay is mainly focusing on your involvement in the deaf community, but they're also going to use it to assess your English skills. So make sure you use good grammar, write it as well and as polished as you can, and there obviously won't be any like citations or anything. This isn't a formal essay. You're going to use words like I and me because you're talking about your own personal experiences, but make sure it's just formatted decently, a good font, make it professional. So then the application and the waiver are all going to be in one email together that you're going to send to the Deaf Studies department. The next part, which was one of the hardest parts, believe it or not, is you need 2 references. At least one of these references must be a deaf person, and they both need to be professional references that are not friends or family members. So, most people use teachers. The problem is, a lot of teachers actually say no when you ask them. I think I had a mix-up with one of the teachers that I wanted. I think I sent it from the request from the wrong email, and I don't think she knew who I was, because I realized that I sent it from the wrong email. I sent it from the right one, and then she responded, but it was past the due date, so unfortunately I wasn't able to use her reference. But so after that, I had a lot of teachers say no to me. One said yes right away, which was great, and she was a deaf teacher, so I had that taken care of at least. But I asked pretty much every ASL teacher I'd ever taken, and most of them said no, either because they didn't know me well enough, they just never responded to my email, so I don't know if they saw it, or they had already had so many people ask them. That's the thing, if you ask teachers at CSUN, a lot of other people are asking them too, so take that into consideration. I finally asked my first ASL teacher ever who was hearing, and she said yes, so I did get that at least. But definitely plan ahead with this, have plan B's and C's and D's, because I had other friends who had problems with the same thing. And finally, the last part of the first screening. Once you have your references and everything done, 2 days before the due date, they're going to post a prompt on their website for the video. So the video is going to be in ASL. They will use it to assess your ASL skills and your fluency, and you'll respond to the questions. I can't really tell you exactly what the questions are. They change every year, but it's going to be about like ASL, deaf culture, interpreting, stuff like that, and just they're basically to assess your ASL skills, but also they'll probably look at your answers too. And the reason that they only post this 2 days before the due date is because they don't want you spending tons of time like redoing it and having people help you with it and polishing it. They want it to be more natural. Obviously you can practice during those 2 days, but they don't want you to have like all of this time to make it perfect. They want to see your natural skill basically. So in this video, you're actually going to post it to YouTube, but keep it private, so that only people who have the link can view it. You'll copy and paste the link into the email and send the email to them. They'll have more detailed instructions on the actual application. So once that's done, now you wait. And then this is the point where COVID happened this year, so I don't know like exactly how it normally goes, but what we did was, so a lot of people get eliminated after the first screening. You'll get an email soon before the second screening letting you know if you got into the second screening. If you did, the way it happened for us was there was a Zoom meeting that everybody came to where they explained how it was going to go, and then they opened up online for us to do like a practice test, and we could retake it as many times as we wanted to. But that may have been just because they weren't sure how the technology stuff would work out. I know that normally it's done in the ASL lab on campus, so I don't know if normally there's a practice test or not. But then we did the test. I signed a form saying I'm not allowed to say what was on the test. So what I can say is that the point of it is to see your potential as an interpreter. They will not ask you to interpret on the test. There will be no interpreting on the test. They don't expect you to know that yet. They want to see ASL fluency, and they want to see how your brain works and how you process things, and to see if you have potential as an interpreter and if you would fit well with the program. So that's the test, and then after that screening you wait again. And at this point, usually in May, they sometimes will do interviews. They didn't do it this year because of COVID, but basically they'll interview people they're on the fence about. I believe it's normally an in-person one-on-one interview, but I'm not totally sure because we didn't have them. And basically what I was told is that if you're asked to interview, that's not really a good sign. Normally by that point they already have people that are like, no, they're not getting in, and yes, they are getting in, and then they have a few that they're on the fence about. They'll call them in for an interview, but most of the time they don't end up accepting them into the program. So if you don't get called in for an interview, that is definitely not a bad thing. And then after that point, in June sometime, this year it was very late, probably because of COVID, they will send you an email saying whether or not you got into the program. And if you got in, it's going to say that. The first sentence is a little deceptive, not gonna lie. It sounded like it was along the lines of, thank you for your interest in the program, which kind of sounds like they're about to like say, but I'm sorry you have not been accepted or something, but they did. I was accepted. And then it kind of explains what to do next, like whether or not you're going to talk to a counselor to get your classes, or how they're going to do that. You do have to have permission codes to get into all of the classes in the program, so they will explain what you should expect on that. If you don't get into the program, don't freak out. You can apply again the next year if you want to, or you can look into other options. You can switch to a different concentration and go ahead and get your bachelor's degree there and then do an interpreting program somewhere else. There's lots of community colleges that have them as two-year programs. And there's plenty of other opportunities. You can just go straight in and try to get an internship and learn on the field that way. There's lots of different options, and just because you didn't get into the program does not mean you can't be an interpreter. There's lots of great interpreters that never went through this program. And some people just aren't a good fit. Your learning style just may not mesh with this, or for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just not meant to be, and that is not a bad reflection on you in any way, shape, or form. That does not mean you're not meant to be an interpreter or that you won't be a good interpreter. It just means that you needed a different program. So look into options there. Definitely have a plan B for what you're going to do if you don't get in. And also look at it financially. If you can't afford to do another year of school, then consider not reapplying to the program, or just consider your options basically, and the counselors there will help you with that. So that's about it. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. I'll be happy to answer any questions I can. Also, if you have been in the program, or if you are in the program, if you are, hi. But if you have any tips for other people, you go ahead and put them in the comments. Hopefully it'll help somebody out. Also, any ideas for future videos that you would like me to make, please put below. I need ideas bad. And if this video helped you, please like and subscribe to my channel. I will hopefully be posting somewhat frequently and getting back into my ASL vlog and everything. But until then, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.